Okay, the first step is accepting, that's the first step. And like I said, I handle the program differently. To me, accepting, because I'm not a drug addict, how would you say it? I don't drink alcohol, although sometimes do drink a little bit of this. Do drink a little bit of this one. Just right before I go to sleep, sometimes I take a little shot right before I go to sleep. I don't feel the side effects. I go to sleep. But anyways, how I was gonna say that accepting, most people have to accept this or that. I don't know what is it that they accept, to be honest. That they have a problem. I guess that's basically it. But me, I have to accept. I think that my problem is accepting life, and that I have to accept that I was born into this life, that I was born into this world, where I guess in the level of life, because I guess supposedly life could be better. I don't know if that would be true, because I mean reality is reality, and it doesn't change. I don't think it changes, much, whether you have money or whether you don't have money. I mean, the experience can change, but then you end up running into reality again. I think that there's this point, this spiritual awakening that has to take place, whether you're rich or whether you're not rich. So, and once you get past the fact that materialistic junk is materialistic junk, then you start to live life a little bit differently. You start to how would you say it? How would you say it? Create, I guess, this positivity wherever you go. Whether you go to I don't know. I guess I don't know what to use it as an example, but it's like, for example, me being here. I make the best of it, and wherever I go, I tried my best to spread positivity in places, giving the small comments that spreads this positivity everywhere I go. And so, um, I think that, how would you say it? That it's how you react to a certain situation that's gonna, how would you say it, change your experience. You know, for example, people that go to jail, something that I could relate to. People that go to jail, either they get caught up wanting things, and they end up being part of something that they'll soon regret, and etc. etc. Versus going there, doing your time, learning this and this and that, catching up, and getting out. Two different experiences. And so I think uh, that regardless, of what life you live, you have to come across this spiritual awakening that, how would you say it, that changes your perspective from life, and that you end up not being content but happy with what you have, because you're able to, how would you say it, spend 10 years coloring with map colors and listening to music, and you end up becoming Picasso, you know and you make the best of it, and you like it. Not only like you're like, oh well, there's nothing more to do, but you focus on it so much that you like it and you learn to love it. you know like, this is what I'm doing right now. Have you ever said that? And so I think um, that the spiritual awakening is, how would you say it, unavoidable. That you have to go through it, but that once you go through it, you learn that a city, regardless of where you're at, like regardless of where you're at, a city, a town, you know, that the people there are living certain lifestyles. You know what I'm saying? You have to take into consideration what type of people they actually are. You know, I remember I was one day I was in Monterrey, and I was in the centro. I was in the how would you say it, Cuauhtémoc, the underpass. I don't know if anybody's ever been there. To all those that have, I was right there. Where the metro is passing on top, and I was underneath. And there's how would you say it? There's a lot of cars. It's the I guess the most center of the city as you can get. Cuauhtémoc, and all these cars are lined up. I think there's like 5 lanes of the street, and all these cars are lined up, right? And Mercedes and all types of cars and SUVs. And there's this guy that was right beside me, and I asked him, you know, um, who would you like to be like? You know, who would you like to be like? And I'll go, what kind of car would you like to have? And he looks around, right? And I don't know why, but he looks at me. It was almost like he was thinking the same thing as I was. It was really weird, you know. Uh, he looks at me and he shakes his head, and I was like, he didn't answer. I really don't remember. It was a long time ago, but I remember he didn't answer, and I was like, "Answer." He's like, "Well, like nobody." He's like nobody, and I was like, "That's weird because me either. Me either. I wouldn't like to be. I wouldn't like to, I wouldn't like to have be like that guy in the Mercedes. I wouldn't like to be like the other person, and I find myself to be very unique. And so you grasp a hold of what actually the lives that these people are living, right? And you're to say, I wouldn't like to be like that. Like, I mean, I would like to have a car, but I would like to probably have that car, but how would you say it? But I wouldn't like to be that person. And for the most part, there are people that drive Mercedes, they all have the very similar characteristics, and so it's like I wouldn't like to be any of them. And although you know I have taken this into consideration, it's very hard to have to accept. Like me, I'm accepting that I was born into the government, to a government project, to the ghetto, you know to the lowest part of society. Wherever I go, you know I know people that live a different life. I know different people, and they all live different lives, and it's like, you know to me, I ask myself, how is it that some of them don't understand what type of life they're living? you know how is it that some of them don't understand that they're, in a program without even knowing? They think that it's life, they think that it's life, but when you try to explain to somebody that they're stuck in the lowest part of society, you know that there's different societies. I mean, there's different levels of society in society, you know. And so how can you explain to them that they're stuck at the bottom, that what they're living, that they what they call life, what they have come to learn as life, is not life. It's not life. It's slavery. And so they don't understand. They don't understand, and I find myself stuck. between how would you say it, the ghetto and the working class. And the working class, I'm stuck in between them. Like I can't, get out of either. And then there's prison. Below the ghetto is prison. And so I say to myself,